prossimo intervento è da parte di Romain PA di Opengear che ci parlerà del senso di implementare la resilienza all'interno della propria rete.
Grazie Simone. Buongiorno a tutti. Non posso fare la presentazione in italiano, parlo solo un po' italiano, ma lo capisco mai che lo parlo, allora la prossima volta. So today we are going to talk about network resilience. We are going to explain how we can use some devices to help you managing your daily life and how helping managing your network. So this is the purpose of this presentation. So many customers today don't have any solution in place. It means that when we ask people how do they manage their network, they say we don't have any solution. Sometimes for sure they do IP management to manage third-party devices like the routers, the switch, the firewall, whatever kind of solution that might be in data center or in edge location. So the first question that we ask to our customer, do we have any out-of-band in place? So as I was saying, most of the time, customers say, yes, we have IP management. But what happens if you lose the connectivity on the IP? That's the first question. So also, do you use an old solution? Some customers maybe started to use some Raritan Avocent devices to manage the serial port. But it was mostly in-band, meaning that when you go outside of your infrastructure, how do you get access to repair remotely and to do all the operations on your network? So that's a big question to ask to our customer. The other question comes from the fact that do you have enough resources to help you on your daily basis? Because we know that from security and from network, we have less and less resources. So you will need to do much more results with less people. So that's the reason why it's very important to understand that there are tools which can help you on your daily life. Last point is, how do you reduce the downtime? Because the question is not when will I get an error or not, will I get a failure or a network down, so it will happen. So what will be the tools that you will have at your disposal to permit you to restore the configuration that were previously installed or just to repair the network remotely? So that's the key questions that we have from our customer. So sorry about this picture. You will maybe notice that one of the guys only has 3 fingers. That's AI. Thank you, AI. But many network engineers say that we are their best friend, because when the problems happens, we have the tools to help them resolving the problem without needing to send someone on the different locations. Because sending someone in all the country or even in the data center might be painful. Because getting access to a data center means that you need to authenticate to go into the data center, then to find the right rack, and then to plug to the right device, and then to repair it. So that's the reason why we offer solutions which are convenient to repair remotely the devices. So where do we come from? So we are an American-based company based in New Jersey. We exist since 20 years, and we have one specialty, which is to deliver solutions for network resilience. So we are only speaking to network administrators and security administrators, and we develop tools dedicated to their own usage. So that's a very specificity from our solution. So we deliver for sure out of band, rete fuori di banda, which is the initial of the business from Opengear. But more and more, our customers, they want to have much features, like the capacity to install remotely third-party devices, like the capacity to put some patches in a secured way. So we just want to build this independent network outside of the production networks to permit the administrators to get a full access to all their devices and infrastructure. So initially, when we were speaking about serial management, it was more about the third case, number 3, which is remediation. People were thinking about, I have a problem, I don't get access anymore to the IP port, so I need to get access to the serial port, so therefore I need a solution. So it was the direction where we came from, but we decided also to add some more features. The new features, which are really interesting, are the first one, deployment. Sometimes we have challenges deploying new solutions outside of our infrastructure. So let's imagine that you need to deploy a point of presence. Let's imagine that you need to deploy an edge data center. So you will maybe need to plug all the local switch or local router to our infrastructure, and then through Opengear, you will be able to use, for instance, for Palo Alto, the Panorama, for instance, for Cisco, their ZTP solution, and to prepare the installation of the third-party devices. So that's one of the use cases that we can have with the solution. Second use case is managing daily all the network. We can see that many other vendors, especially in the security part, solutions like Fortinet, they need to have almost a weekly update because their development are so complicated now. Because if we talk about SD-WAN, about new solutions, it means a lot of update. So therefore, we can offer an independent network for the administrators to also put the updates, the patches, all the administration that you need to do, and to do also some bulk deployment about the third-party solutions using our product. So this is also a very good result for our customers. So this is more in detail what we can offer. Our solution is also able to be delivered in ZTP mode, so it means that if you can plug the solution, let's imagine that you want to install something in Brazil, you just need to buy locally the solution in Brazil, then you can directly get access through a management console I will talk about, and then plug all your devices and install remotely without needing to send someone on site. So this is what we want to do, reduce the downtime and reduce also all the travel for the network administrator and security administrator. So there is a big change also in our market. So as I was explaining before, we were initially more talking about the serial management. But more and more, our customers, they want us to manage also the IP. Because only managing serial is not enough if you want to do a remote installation. So we have developed inside our product also some kind of reverse proxy rules which permit you to get access also to the IP port to do all the operations you could do in a production network but using a completely independent network. So this is very important to us to understand that you have three parts. First part on the right hand side is the hardware, so we will put hardware in place. Then we will put a centralized management system called Lighthouse, which is a virtual machine, which will permit you to concentrate all your nodes, all your Opengear devices in one place, and to open the command lines from all your devices from only one place, and then to have the capacity to use our solution as network deployment or as network administration. That's what we want to offer. Talking about the pillars, we need to fit with certain standards. For instance, the resilience, we will offer the capacity to plug our solution, to connect to our solution through an IP network. So it could be Cooper, it could be fiber, it could be 4G. So many different ways of connecting to our devices. But therefore, we need to have the correct level of security. Because the first team we talk with are the security teams. Okay, you want to put in place this new solution. Is it secure enough to stay in the current standards that we have in the company? So that's why we wanted to have the same quality and the same tools inside our solution to permit to have a good security. The intelligence part is the capacity also to get a visibility when something happens. So let's imagine that you lose a switch without waiting for a user to call you to say something wrong has happened. You can receive a trap, you can receive a text, you can receive an email, an alert to tell you that something wrong is happening. And sometimes, talking to customer, we understand that they have a lack of visibility regarding the health of their network. So that's a very important features for us. Last point is about automation. Automation is the capacity to install external services very close to each location. So let's imagine that you want to launch a new edge data center. Maybe you will want to store configurations, maybe or the past configuration to restore it in case of problem. Maybe you will want to use some kind of Python development, API, Ansible, or Docker storage also. So these are the tools that we have in our solution to permit also to be completely independent from the infrastructure team and to have a solution dedicated for the network team. So let's talk a bit about the solution. So as you understood, what we tend to do is to deliver hardware to permit to create an independent network outside of the production network, as I said before. So you will plug the different devices, so routers, switch, security solution, servers, whatever, through different kind of ports. And then, as an administrator, you will have an alternative access completely dedicated to your task and independent from the production network to get access. So let's imagine that you lose connectivity on an edge location because the connectivity was cut. So you have the possibility to have the 4G to get access automatically to our solution. So we will detect that we lost the connectivity and then open the 4G. And then you will be able to understand if it is a router misconfiguration, a switch misconfiguration, or if even the line was cut. That's the point of smart out-of-band management. So we call it smart because we did put a lot of different functions in the system. So if you look after the product, this is not the same product on the left and on the center. So sorry about this slide. I need to change it, but I didn't have the time to do it. So we have small product like on the left. And so you can connect to our product through three different ways. So the first one will be fiber. Second one will be copper, but also through 4G. So let's imagine that you start from nothing. I was giving the example of Brazil. Then from Brazil, you can plug the Opengear device, then connect automatically through 4G, and then you can connect all the third-party devices on the back of the device. You can see in the center through three different ways. So it could be through the serial port, it could be through an IP port, or it could be also through a USB port. Because solutions, for instance, like Cisco Meraki, they don't have any more physical serial ports. So they do serial over USB. So we need to be able to connect all the kind of ports. So it means that instead of having a network for an IP administration and a network also for serial management, you can have everything in a single appliance. So this model is the completely full model, but we have also appliances with purely serial management, because sometimes customers have already an IP management in place. So in that case, you just need to plug the IP management to our device through one of the two ports that we have, and then you can also extend the range and extend the security to this switch. So our platform is made of devices, as you understood. So we have different kind of devices regarding the use case. By example, for your specific sector, we have these small devices for POPs that you can install over the country. But we have also devices for data center. So it will depend on the number of ports that you want to plug and the type of port that you want to plug. If it's purely serial or serial plus IP, depending on the different use case. And the beauty of the thing is that everything will be managed centrally by Lighthouse, which is a virtual machine. It's our centralized management platform, which permits you to have a global view about all your infrastructure. So it means that if you want to do an update on a specific switch, which is on a specific location, you don't have to think about where is located this switch. So you can just, through Lighthouse, maybe labeling your stuff, and then directly connect to your switch to make the update through our platform. So we want to simplify the life, to simplify the VPN through Lighthouse. So it will permit to have a native Open VPN to connect all the Opengear devices on a centralized point. And for you just to connect to Lighthouse with the security you want, it could be strong authentication, it could be also OpenVPN or another VPN, and then have a global access to all your infrastructure without thinking about where it is placed. So just talking about Lighthouse, so it's a virtual machine that you can install in your own infrastructure or that you can install in a cloud. And then through Lighthouse, you will have the possibility to have this global view and to do many operations through the solution. When I'm talking about many operations, you remember maybe at the beginning of the presentation, we have first day, every day, and worst day. So it means that on the first day, let's imagine that you want to set up a new switch to replace an existing switch in a remote location. You could do it through Lighthouse. Because as we will be able to manage both IP and serial, we will have the full access to all the ports for you to permit to use your classic management from Cisco, from Palo Alto, from Fortinet, from whatever, through our solution in a secure pathway. So we use a kind of reverse proxy for that. I was talking about NetOps, about automation. So as I said before, we have the capacity also to install on each Opengear device, each node, some kind of external services. So let's imagine that you did your own development, about API, about whatever, if you want to do some NetOps. So this is something you could directly install in our solution. Some use case which might interest you. So I was talking about the fact to be able to store the configuration directly close to your infrastructure. So let's imagine that you made a mistake changing of configuration on the switch. You can use the storage that we have just to restore the configuration. Another use case could be to collect the log through an alternative pathway. For instance, if you have a CM in place where you want to collect all the information and you have an attack, you could be able to send the logs through an alternative pathway to your CM to ensure that you understand where the attack comes from. So to talk about the portfolio, so we have different kind of products. We have products which are made really for POPs, like the ACM, this one. So the ACM is a very small product that you can put in all the location and which will do some classic out-of-band management. So it's not so expensive. It's starting at something like €700 for the first model with 4 ports. And then depending on what you need, it could be with or without 4G, it could be with or without IP. And many telcos now use this product to manage their remote location. Sometimes also in very hard environment, like in Africa, where there is a lot of dust and high temperature. So this is industrial part solution. We don't have any moving part in our solution. No fans, nothing, just flash. So it permits us to have a reduction about the number of incidents that we have on our own devices. That's very, very important to understand. Also, we have the OM, which can permit you to have 8 port and 8 port. And then for data center, we have 2 range, the CM81, which is a pure data center product with purely serial management, because most of the time in data center, there is already an IP management in place. So through the CM, you can plug all your serial ports and get a centralized access. And the beauty of the thing is that through this device, we have an automatic labeling. So it means that we will discover which port, which cable you did plug to the solution. Because sometimes what our customers say is that in data center, some people come, open the rack, and then change the cables. So it's a crazy stuff, but it happens. And then through this solution, our solution, we will be able to detect and to label automatically all the ports which are connected to our solution. And then it will be linked to the Lighthouse, the centralized management system. And for customers who want to have a more complete solution, we have the UM, which is a hybrid between serial and IP management. And then more and more customers who are restructuring their network, rebuilding a new network, or starting from nothing, prefer, instead of buying a switch and a serial management port, to have one solution, taking less space in the rack and having the same function as a classic switch. So this is a layer 3 switch, classic. So you can create the VLANs. So all the operations that you do with your switch, this is something you can do with this solution. And I think this is it for the introduction. So thanks for listening. Maybe if you have some questions. All right, okay. So we have some cool caps. If you want to come and visit us, we have a stand just here. Yeah, on the back, close to the door where you can go smoking. And then we will be happy to explain more about the solution, take your details, and maybe engage a bit further. Thank you.